Welcome everyone. Doing our live weekly Q&A here. As always, feel free to throw your questions in the chat. I will answer them as I see them come up. If you're watching us on replay, either on Facebook or YouTube, you can still throw questions in the comments. We will just address them in whatever the following week's live session is at that point. Always feel free to ask your questions. Happy to cover them and answer them for you so you can make better choices and actions with your health and fitness. So this week's question is for people who were trying to make a lot of nutritional changes, but they're running into the obstacle where I can't eliminate eating out. What am I supposed to do now? Because they want to eat better, but eating out seems to always be an unavoidable thing. There's a few it's a common obstacle. A lot of people, they have to travel out of town for work, so they're always eating from a hotel room. Other people are mobile throughout their work day, so they're kind of driving around town to different work sites and locations, meeting clients, and eating on the go is kind of a necessary part of that. Some people, for whatever reason, workplace, there's just not an easy spot to store packed meals, so it's difficult to bring lunch with you. Other aspects are family time, having that weekly family pizza and a movie night, other weekly events with family. Maybe it's an extended family outing. There's always going to be common places where eating out it's just an unavoidable thing. It's going to happen. What we want to look at is how can we still make that the best possible option in that scenario. Maybe it's not the best option overall, but we can still make it better than what it could have been in that situation. So the key thing to review for this is, what is an ideal meal outline look like? With that, we're starting with our protein first, typically something that's going to give you around 30 to 50 grams of protein for that meal. Your vegetable serving second, that's going to be about a cup's worth of some form of vegetable. And then you can look at either a fruit or a carbohydrate for your sugar and carbohydrate source. Ideally, the more whole ingredient, the better. And then some form of healthy fat to go along with it. If after all of that, you're still feeling like it wasn't enough, you can add in additional vegetables to get the volume of food that you're looking for. We've covered that a few times in other videos as well, so I won't go in too deep on that. But that's our ideal meal outline. Obviously, the ideal situation is you're cooking that at home with whole food ingredients to accomplish the best possible meal outcome that you can make. This still applies to when you're eating out. So one of the main challenges that we have to look at is shifting our mindset when we're eating out. Most people, as we reach adulthood, still have the mindset built into us that eating out is a special event, it's a treat, and we get to have whatever we want and treat ourselves. The challenge with that is, if you're eating out 3 or more times a week, it's no longer a special treat, a special event, or a special occasion. It's your regular routine, your regular life. So we have to have a slightly different mindset and approach to how we pick that meal versus the meal that I'm having for my birthday outing or an anniversary or some other special event type thing. So when it's this is what I do almost every day or multiple times in a week, it's not a special event. It's now our regular routine, and we have to treat it as such with a healthier mindset on our choices. So what we have to look at in being able to pick better choices for our foods, meal planning is still required. Maybe you're not meal prepping and getting all these foods bought and made, but you still need to plan. What I mean by that is, if you're eating out, you need to know where you're going to go first and foremost. So identify what restaurants are going to be in the areas that you're choosing these meals at. So if it's your lunch and you're in between clients, meeting clients, going from work site to work site, or just at a place that you just can't get a good packed lunch to stay with you, you need to look around those locations. What are the restaurants that you can choose from first? Other examples, if you're traveling for work, you're going to need to look at a lot of your options, your lunch options, your breakfast options, and your dinner options, and identify what are going to be the best restaurants for you in that location to pick from. Once you've decided which restaurants you're going to most likely be going to, you look at the menu. From there, you identify what menu items can you order that get you pretty close, if not spot on, to those meal guidelines that we laid out. Your protein first, your vegetable, healthy carb, healthy fat. As close as possible to that layout. Still something that you can enjoy, still something that you're okay eating. Don't punish yourself with it, but getting as close to that as you can. The next step is, if you're not quite where we want to be with that, are there any substitutions or supplements that you can make? So what I mean by that is, maybe we do, instead of a bread side or a pasta side, is there another vegetable? Is there a potato or tuber option that we can look at? Do we need a full combo meal? Can we get away with just the sandwich? And maybe we bring some form of, carrot sticks or other vegetable with us as an option instead. Other things are, for example, a common food like pizza. It's hard to get the right amount of protein in without completely overblowing your calorie content, because most of your protein's coming from heavy fat cheeses or extremely processed meats. So supplementing with some sort of other protein would be something to look at. So instead of having, 2 or 3 additional slices of pizza to hit your protein mark, maybe you can enjoy around 2 slices, have a vegetable, and then some sort of protein drink, protein bar to get your protein up high enough without adding the amount of calories that another 1 to 2 slices would bring on into that meal. These are the ways that we can still have things that we enjoy without completely overdoing our caloric intake at that meal. Because we don't want that meal getting in excess of 1,000, 1,500 calories, because for a lot of people, that's close to your fully daily limit. We need to be able to figure out ways, can we have a little bit of what we enjoy and enough other ways to kind of fill us up and round out that meal to satisfy the volume and fullness factor with it. So it's just playing around with those different options of supplementing, substituting, picking some maybe slightly better versions than what we might have gotten if it was a special occasion. An example with that, if I'm going out for like a birthday or an anniversary, I really like a ribeye or a prime rib cut steak. I don't need that all the time. I can get a lean sirloin instead. That's going to cut a huge amount of calories, keep my protein high, because now there's not a bunch of fat on the steak in place of the meat. And I still get to enjoy a steak, have some vegetables, have a potato, maybe I go a little lighter on toppings instead of everything else. And now I have a more moderate amount of caloric intake, but I still had overall a pretty tasty, satisfying meal for me. Maybe I go with a smaller cut of meat than what I might have gotten if I was trying to splurge a little bit. Maybe I do an extra side of vegetables to get that fullness factor, but there's ways to still have a little bit of fun when you eat out, or not necessarily fun, but satisfaction, without completely blasting ourselves out on the caloric side of things, making it harder to overcome the fat loss issue. So you make these plans before you go out for the week to order. This is important because when we're in the moment, typically we're going to be rushed, we're going to be stressed, maybe even a little bit tired. That's not a good situation to be in to try and make a good decision off the cuff. So you want to plan, prepare for what your choices are going to be in these situations, so there's less thought and less decision fatigue playing into that factor. It's easier to walk in and say, okay, I've picked this restaurant. A, B, and C are my items. Make my order. I'm done. I don't have to look through the menu and be tempted with anything. I know exactly what I already want, and I'm going to order here. This makes it easier. It becomes more habit and routine because now you're not being tempted away by pictures, advertisings on windows or menu items, menu inserts. You don't even have to open the menu because you already know exactly what you're ordering because you made that plan days in advance. And the beauty is once you've made that investment time of planning, what are my go-to meals and options at these restaurants, you don't have to keep doing it. You've already made your selections and the work's done. So it's actually quicker and easier than what meal prepping is, because you have to meal prep every week. Whereas if you just plan out, okay, when I'm out and ordering out, I get this from this restaurant, I get this from that restaurant. I've got 2 options at this one, and so on. It's actually, in a lot of ways, easier and more convenient with less effort and decision fatigue involved because we're not making anything anymore. We've already made our decision about it, so there's not even that factor working against us. So in a lot of ways, it starts to become easier rather than harder and more challenging for people. It does take a little investment at the beginning of it to do the homework and find and pick those options. Sometimes you might have some trial and error where you realize, hey, I made these substitutions, but I was hungry, an hour later. That's not going to work for me. Go back, rethink, okay, what was I missing? Did you not have enough fiber? Did you not have enough volume? Were you too short on protein? Is there not enough fat with the meal because you picked something leaner and lighter than what you would have and you didn't add a healthy fat in with some of your side or substitute options? Those are things that you can look at, but once you've done some of the effort, then it can become automatic and it's much easier, it's much less stressful because now you're not beating yourself up day after day, week after week about I'm supposed to be making better choices, but I'm not. Once you've identified those better choices, it's easier to follow through with. If for whatever reason you're finding yourself struggling with, I don't know what to pick at this restaurant, I'm trying to make a better meal outline, but I just don't know what I'm doing wrong, feel free to reach out. We'll have a quick conversation, go over what you're picking, what ways are going to be better for you instead, and it kind of gets you better off in the right direction to be more successful and see the changes that you're working hard to make. Hope that was helpful for everyone. Have a wonderful week, and remember to stay persistent in your consistent pursuit of health.